Picture this. 3 days ago, the man they called the Messiah hung lifeless on a Roman cross. His followers are hiding behind locked doors, paralyzed by fear and grief. Their dreams are shattered, their hope is dead, they thought it was over. But they had no idea what was about to happen next. Let's rewind to understand the magnitude of this moment. For 3 years, Jesus of Nazareth has been teaching, healing, and performing miracles across Judea and Galilee. Thousands have followed him. The religious establishment has grown increasingly threatened by his influence. His disciples, ordinary fishermen and tax collectors, have left everything to follow him. They believe he's the promised Messiah who will restore Israel's glory. But then comes that fateful Thursday night in the Garden of Gethsemane. Judas Iscariot, one of the 12 disciples, betrays Jesus with a kiss. Roman soldiers arrest him. Within hours, Jesus faces multiple trials before Jewish and Roman authorities. Peter, who swore he'd never abandon Jesus, denies knowing him 3 times before the rooster crows, just as Jesus predicted. By Friday morning, the situation spirals completely out of control. Pontius Pilate, the Roman governor, succumbs to political pressure from the crowd. He orders Jesus to be crucified, even though he finds no fault in him. The man who healed the sick and raised the dead is now being led to Golgotha, the place of the skull. The crucifixion is brutal beyond imagination. Roman crucifixion is designed not just to kill but to humiliate and torture. Jesus is nailed to a wooden cross between 2 criminals. The physical agony is excruciating, but the emotional and spiritual weight is even heavier. He's bearing the sins of humanity, experiencing separation from God the Father. Even in his suffering, Jesus demonstrates extraordinary love and forgiveness. He looks down at the soldiers gambling for his clothes and says, as recorded in Luke chapter 23 verse 34, "Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they are doing." He comforts one of the criminals crucified beside him, promising him paradise. He ensures his mother Mary will be cared for by the Apostle John. Then at about 3 in the afternoon, Jesus cries out with a loud voice. According to Matthew chapter 27 verse 46, he says, my God, why have you forsaken me?" Moments later he declares, "It is finished," and breathes his last. At that exact moment, the curtain in the temple tears from top to bottom. The earth shakes, rocks split apart. Even a Roman centurion standing guard recognizes something supernatural has occurred, exclaiming, "Surely this man was the Son of God." Joseph of Arimathea, a wealthy member of the Jewish council who secretly follows Jesus, requests permission to bury the body. He and Nicodemus, another secret follower, wrap Jesus in linen cloths with about 75 pounds of spices and place him in a new tomb carved from rock. A massive stone is rolled across the entrance. The religious leaders, remembering Jesus predicted he'd rise after 3 days, convince Pilate to post guards and seal the tomb. They're taking no chances with what they assume will be a hoax. Saturday passes in agonizing silence. The disciples are scattered, traumatized, and terrified. Everything they believed has apparently been proven false. The man they thought was God's chosen one is dead, their leader is gone. The movement seems finished. They're probably wondering how they could have been so wrong, so deceived, so foolish. But Sunday morning changes everything. As dawn breaks, Mary Magdalene and other women make their way to the tomb with additional spices to properly anoint Jesus' body. They're worried about who will roll away the heavy stone for them. But when they arrive, they discover something impossible. The stone has already been moved, the tomb is open, the guards are nowhere to be seen. Mary Magdalene peers inside and finds the tomb empty. The burial cloths are lying there, but Jesus' body is gone. Her first thought is grave robbery. She runs to find Peter and John, breathlessly telling them, "They have taken the Lord out of the tomb and we don't know where they have put him." The 2 disciples race to the tomb. John arrives first but hesitates at the entrance. Peter, true to his impulsive nature, rushes right in. What they see defies explanation. The linen wrappings are lying there, and the cloth that covered Jesus' head is folded separately. This isn't the scene of a grave robbery. Thieves wouldn't carefully unwrap the body and fold the burial cloths. Something else has happened here. John later writes in his Gospel, chapter 20, verse 8, that when he saw this, he believed. Meanwhile, Mary Magdalene remains at the tomb, weeping. She looks inside again and sees 2 angels in white sitting where Jesus' body had been. They ask her why she's crying. She explains that someone has taken her Lord away. Then she turns around and sees a man standing there. Assuming he's the gardener, she asks if he's moved the body. The man speaks one word. Mary, instantly she recognizes that voice. It's Jesus, he's alive. The impossible has happened. Jesus tells Mary to go tell the disciples what she's seen. She becomes the first witness to the resurrection, the first evangelist of the gospel. She runs to the disciples proclaiming, "I have seen the Lord," but they struggle to believe her. It sounds like nonsense, like grief-induced hallucination. That evening, the disciples are gathered together behind locked doors, still afraid of the Jewish authorities. Suddenly, Jesus appears among them. He doesn't knock or open the door, he simply materializes in the room. Imagine their shock, their terror, their confusion. Is this a ghost, a vision? Jesus shows them his hands and side, the wounds from the crucifixion still visible. He's not a spirit, he's physically present, resurrected in a glorified body. Over the next 40 days, Jesus appears to his followers multiple times. He appears to 2 disciples on the road to Emmaus. He appears to more than 500 people at once. He appears to his skeptical brother James. He even prepares breakfast for his disciples by the Sea of Galilee. Each appearance confirms the reality of the resurrection. Death has been defeated. The grave couldn't hold him. Thomas, who wasn't present during Jesus' first appearance to the disciples, famously doubts the reports. He declares he won't believe unless he can put his finger in the nail marks and his hand in Jesus' side. A week later, Jesus appears again specifically for Thomas, inviting him to touch his wounds. Thomas falls to his knees, declaring, "My Lord and my God." Jesus responds with words that echo through centuries to every future believer. "Because you have seen me, you have believed. Blessed are those who have not seen and yet have believed." The resurrection transforms everything. These terrified disciples become bold witnesses willing to die for their testimony. They don't just believe Jesus taught good principles or that his spirit lives on metaphorically. They insist they saw him, touched him, ate with him after he rose from the dead. Most of them eventually face martyrdom rather than recant this claim. People die for lies they believe are true, but they don't die for lies they know are false. This event becomes the foundation of Christian faith. The Apostle Paul later writes in 1 Corinthians chapter 15 that if Christ hasn't been raised, then Christian faith is worthless and believers are still in their sins. But because Christ has been raised, he's the firstfruits of those who will be resurrected. Death is no longer the end. The resurrection proves Jesus is who he claimed to be. It validates his teachings, his sacrifice, and his promise of eternal life. What looked like history's greatest defeat becomes its greatest victory. They thought it was over, but it was really just the beginning.